This is a chest supported T-bar row for the mid-back, using those handles that get at 45 degrees to help us target those rear delts, traps, and rhomboids. Starting off with the hand placement, we're going to be using those handles that are angled about 30 to 45 degrees and also allows you to pull outside shoulder width. Next up on the ground, we're going to be having those feet on the ground right there. It's going to allow you more support and stability than having on those foot pads. If you can't reach all the way down to the ground, you could easily put a plate on the ground to give you a little extra height, but just choose whatever's more comfortable for you. For me, it's definitely on the ground, and I'd recommend you to try it as well too. And make sure that you are adjusted with your chest on the bench to whenever you are rowing at the very top, those hands are coming down at the bottom of the chest or slightly below, but it should be between the belly button and the bottom of the chest. With us pulling towards the bottom of the chest and also having our arms coming back at a 45-degree angle, we're going to allow to put the most emphasis on the rear delts, middle traps, and those rhomboids. Versus if we were to have a completely overhand grip and using those top handles, the emphasis would be more of the upper traps and upper rhomboids and still hitting those rear delts as well too. The full tutorial on that exercise will be in the description down below. However, for both, feel free to use some wrist straps, as this can help you if you struggle with your grip and also can help you feel less in the biceps as you're not having to grip those handles super hard. After you unrack that weight, make sure you don't just immediately go up, but allow the back muscles to fully lengthen and bring that bar a little bit down to get the full stretch on the arms and the back. Then go ahead and initiate that row, and you do that by slightly pushing those hands towards those thighs, almost like you're not just pulling back, but also behind you. That's going to help you get engagement of those lats and also help you feel a lot less in those biceps. As you're pulling upwards, also imagine like you're trying to bring those shoulder blades towards each other and able to get a noticeable pause at the very top, especially on the first half of those reps. Make sure that your chest has always some kind of contact with that bench. If it's coming completely off that bench, you are likely using a little bit much too momentum and focus too much on pulling backwards and not squeezing those shoulder blades well enough. And you might also be using a too heavy of a weight. So lighten the load, control the weight, and focus on the contraction as much as you can. As you can see right here, the top of my chest does come a little bit off that chest pad, but the bottom of my chest, my sternum, is always in contact at the very top of this exercise. Now the way down is just as important as that way upwards. So on that way down, imagine like you're still rowing, pulling behind you, but just letting that weight take you down and nice and controlled. Trying to feel as much tension as you can through those elbows, and also imagine like you're slightly pushing those elbows and hands a little bit apart. You'll feel a lot more tension through those rear delts and a lot less through the bicep. Allow those shoulders to roll forward and that mid back to round. That way we get sufficient lengthening of those traps and rhomboids, almost as if you're trying to bring those shoulder blades apart, the reverse of what we did on that way up, where we try to bring those shoulder blades towards each other. As you get closer to failure, it's going to get much harder to maintain your form, and instead of just trying to drive that weight up any way you can and using a lot of momentum, instead opt for 2 to 4 more partial repetitions with good form. And when you're done with your set, make sure you carefully re-rack your weight. Also, whether it's your first exercise or your last, make sure you get a couple of warm-up sets in, working up to your weight, start to develop that mind-muscle connection, that chain of motion, get those traps and rhomboids firing. That way when you actually do your working set, you're feeling it where you're supposed to. And to run through it one more time very quickly, after you unrack, imagine like you're slightly pushing those hands towards those thighs to activate those lats. And as you go upwards, imagine like you're trying to roll through the elbows and squeeze those shoulder blades at the very top and trying to get a noticeable pause at the very top. As you're going down, imagine like you're slightly pulling backwards, just letting the weight take you down nice and controlled, allowing for rounding of the upper back and the shoulders roll forward to get sufficient lengthening of those traps and those rhomboids. Please leave a like if you learned something from this video, and also subscribe for more exercise tutorials and workout videos just like this one. And now enjoy a post-workout pump check.